Good day, friends. I hope you're doing really well. This is Tracy Brown, and my team and I provide somatic nutrition counseling for those struggling with kind of the fight or flight symptoms of having an eating disorder. So we work with relationship with food, body image, either too much or not enough, movement, and all the things. So glad you're here with us. This is our third week, so I'm really glad you have hung in there with me. If you watched week 1 and 2, I'm going to do a little summary really quick. Is the focus of these videos is getting the necessary kind of information and education you need around when you know what to do but you can't get yourself to do it. There may be a reason in your threat response system that you're not able to eat, complete your meals or get your needs met with the groceries, or feel comfortable enough in your own skin to be in congruency with your values. So a lot of people know everything there is to know about recovery, plus some, maybe more than me even, in terms of the literature and all the things, but they're not really able to be in their window of tolerance to do what needs to be done. So this is where this videos come in handy, is that like you can have an IQ of 150, but if you feel like you can't swallow your food because you're too anxious, you're going to be malnourished anyway. Or if you feel like you're in such a frustrating place that you just kind of want to chew and eat the world, and we do it with food instead, it doesn't really matter how that impacts in the moment, how that might impact your health or your mobility. It's that like, I can't feel what I'm feeling right now. It's too much. There's a part inside that feels that way. So that's what these videos are about. So week 1, we talked about the physical, mental, emotional kind of tells, like your signs and symptoms of I'm in a flight response. I want to run away, or I want to fight myself, fight people, fight the world. And that inhibits normative eating. It inhibits our ability to do what we know needs to be done to have a life free from disorder eating. And that's the reality. So we talked about that week 1. Week 2, we kind of did the other extreme where bodies are kind of feeling stuck in this kind of, what's the point? I'm not really here. Kind of hypo-arousal where we're in a lot of freeze. We can't get going. We feel like we kind of check out a lot, or compulsively people-pleasing. It's not like I'm giving, just out the goodness of my heart here. No, I'm going to be whatever you need me to be. I'm going to chameleon. So maybe you won't reject me. Maybe you'll love me, whatever it is. So those are responses where our real self vitality is squished down because maybe we've tried to get our needs met some other kind of way with fight or flight, didn't work, wasn't safe. So our bodies just shut it down. It's not a conscious decision. You're not deciding, I'm going to check out because I don't know how to feel my fear. It just kind of happens. Some of the work we did last week was talking about, but that's how the physiology works and what are we willing to do. And all the homework from the last 2 weeks was about recognizing your symptoms and just naming it. Can I bring a compassionate witness? Oh, I'm doing that thing right now. Oh, yeah, we're not going to do that thing. We're going to be a witness to it. So that's weeks 1 and 2. And I know I've had a lot of requests. Well, what do I do now? And that's a very both simple and complex answer, but we're going to try to answer those questions in these 2 videos this week. So today's video is going to be about what do I do? All right, I'm finding myself in this hyper-activated state, or we'll call that fight or flight. And brilliantly, again, one of those things that if you understand trauma and you work with eating disorders, you know that you can't just do cognitive behavioral. It's very important that obviously we get new thought patterns and we renew our minds. You have to, like, if you're going to live in this diet culture and you don't want to have an eating disorder, you have to learn it, like, not everything that everybody says is true. You shouldn't even drink my Kool-Aid. You should go test and research everything I say and look at, like, this dietitian here online says that, like, variety of food and adequacy is the most important, that if we do extremes with any of our eating, cut out any food group, we're probably going to end up with nutrient deficiencies and disordered eating. Is that true, really? Because everybody else is on a diet, why can't I? It's like, well, the reality is what has been the result of thinking that your body is the wrong body to have, What has been the result of calorie or food group restricted diets in your life? Are you more obsessive? Are you more afraid still? Is your health any better long term? I'm not talking like in 3 months. I'm talking 3 years, 10 years down the road. Are we still maintaining those behaviors, and do we still have good health? That's the sign of like something that is good for us long term, not the sign of something that like short term our body adapts and we get these lab results, but they don't last, they don't stick. So those are things I want you to be thinking about. But anyway, when we're in a flight response, fight or flight, and we talked about all the signs and symptoms of that last week, so we're not, or 2 weeks ago, so we're not going to do that now. My assumption is, if you're watching this video, that you have an idea of like when my brain is spinning and I'm panicking about eating a cupcake or whatever it is, or I'm desperately wanting to get on that scale, but I know it's bad for me, but I can't stop thinking about that. You can kind of guess that's a threat response. We're being not intellectually, we're being obsessive, it feels anxious, it feels buzzy, it feels revved up. Okay? And so we want to start using our body as a resource, and we want to start working on relationships. I know that sounds kind of funny. Like, why would we care about relationships when I just want to stop having negative thoughts about my body, or I want to stop binging, or I know restricting is not good for me, but I feel like I have to do it anyway? How does that help? Well, we get in threat response around something that's natural and normal, which is food, in relationship. You don't live in a vacuum and decide one day when you're 10 or 16 or 25 to go on a diet, because you have to learn that from somewhere, and you have to be in relationship with culture or your environment, which is the people around you, to kind of mirror that that's appropriate behavior and that you should be afraid about your weight, your food, whatever. So this food and rejection, body size and rejection. Nobody wants to be rejected. So we're going to feel fear about that. And that's how that gets overcoupled. So if you want to have food and be in relationship with people, first we have to be able to witness, do I have any experiences of something new? Because we're talking about nervous system health. We're not talking about cognitive counseling here. I can tell you, like, it's 2023, and as an adult, even though people were bullying to you in the past about your size or your food or whatever it was, it doesn't mean that everybody will do that to you now. I know that you can hear that and understand that's true. But then when you go to eat more food or you stop dieting, you still might have that body response anyway, that it's going to happen to you no matter what you do, and unless you diet. That's your body talking. That's your nervous system like, uh-oh, you're not doing something about your weight. You weighed the most you ever weighed, and you're not fixing that. And now you're having some body memory of the past bullying that's about your sensations and your body and your emotions. It's not about rationally what you know to be true. Because rationally as an adult, if somebody tries to bully you, you're like, I'm out of here. I got a car, got a credit card, I'm out. I'm not going to put up with this. We know that as an adult, but our bodies don't know that we are. And unfortunately, that bullying is alive and well inside because it was never dealt with in a safe relational way. It was never healed, right? So I want you to be thinking about some of the most healing parts. And this is why there's such a growing number of people who do what I do, because we recognize that a huge percentage of why people who work with us get better quickly. I mean, I say quickly, if you've been dieting for 50 years and it takes you 1 or 3 years to work with somebody, in proportion, that's pretty darn good, versus it taking you 10 to 20 on your own to figure it out, because you can't really always be both the sufferer and what needs care at the same time. Sometimes we can, and that's what our work is devoted to, is helping people be a compassionate witness, build the internal locus to control, where you don't need to be in help with people your whole life. That's the goal, is to grow that sense of self, where it's like, oh yeah, people can say horrible things and I'm okay. But if you don't have that neurobiology in you, sometimes we have to learn by being in relationship with safe others. So tip number 1 is find some people in your life that you can co-regulate to. And co-regulation means I can be with them and I can feel inside that I shared something challenging, vulnerable, something that might not make me look the best. And they don't judge it. They don't actually care because they actually see you for who you are. And I cannot tell you, that's the biggest percentage, again, why people get better is they have someone to really witness them for who they really are and see them separate from the things they're struggling with. Like, you're a person who's struggling with this. This struggle isn't who you are. You're not a failure because, you've dieted 50,000 times and you didn't maintain that weight loss. That's inevitable because biologically our bodies fight. Our bodies fight being starved. Of course, that's not your fault. And we need to be in relationships with like that if we're going to heal what was missing from the past. So I hope that helps. So that's tip number 1, getting some co-regulatory, safe, good enough relationship to build some new experiences. Number 2, again, we're going to use our body as a resource. So if you're running from tigers, right, inside, and sometimes it feels like the inside's like la 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 la, and you can't feel your hunger and fullness. So people, when they can't feel their hunger and fullness, when they're in flight, maybe anxious, buzzy, or they want to hurt themselves, or imaginations of like telling somebody off or worse than and inside, that body tension, that whatever. Again, we talked about that 2 weeks ago. The symptoms of that is you're probably not going to be able to know right now what you need to do with your mind. What we need to do is kind of have something that we have in front of us that helps us. So I'm going to share my screen here. Like, I can't share it, but I can turn my camera around here and show you this real quick. All right, so you see this. I have this little sensory supplement tool, and all it talks about is using your 5 senses: your sight, your sound, your taste, your touch, your smell. I'll explain these other things: interoception, proprioception, vestibular. I will share what those mean. So we know what our 5 senses are, and those 5 senses are part of our nervous system, and they help us know if our environment is safe enough to stay, like we don't have to run away, or it's not safe enough to stay and we got to go. So as you know, a lot of you have experience of, and I talked about this 2 weeks ago, when we are in flight response, oftentimes we don't physically run away, but we run away in our minds. So imaginations, how we're going to be rejected. So I need to maybe, do I eat the right food? What if I eat this? What if I don't eat that? What will happen? It goes on and on and on. That's a flight response, but it's mental. All right, so imagine this. If you catch yourself like, wow, I'm totally obsessing right now. Do you have something in front of you? Do you have something you can hear that maybe the taste of maybe what slowness and peace would taste like? Touch. Do you need to have a fuzzy blanket to keep with you before meals so you can oh yeah, that's right. I provide softness and care for myself. I'm not going to be harsh and judgmental or rigid. Brain, stop doing that. We're not doing that right now. That's not what we're doing. We're going to drop into some softness and feel that it's okay to not obsess about what I just ate. Smell, maybe just taking a deep breath is enough to oh yeah, that's right, I'm obsessing. I'm not doing that because no one's here to judge my food. I'm not in a threat. Again, interoception is basically how you feel inside, and you can name it. So that you're hungry or not, have to go to the bathroom or not. You can tell the difference between a gas bubble and maybe something maybe more serious. You can tell oh, this is what my anxiety feels like. This is not fullness, and that's a huge part of the work, right? Is being able to know the difference inside between discomfort and an actual threat. Okay. And other things we can do to help ourselves feel some differentiation, is again, body work and warmth on our bellies or our back, those kind of things. So proprioception means that you can feel where you are in space. You have a sense of where your body is. Most of my clients who struggle with body dysmorphia, I know they have some proprioception issues. They just don't see themselves or seeing themselves through the inside out. And they also don't really have a sense of what they actually look like. They can't feel themselves because they've been so disembodied. So we got to do some work with that. Again, there's things like pushing and pulling and warmth. And I use a little mini trampoline for clients for so many things. And then vestibular, some things like hammock and rocking and balancing. And those are tangible, practical, physical, sensory things that you can do at home on a daily, if not multiple times a day basis, to be able to help your body know that it's 2023 or whatever year you're watching this, And that your brain has to say, okay, are we in a threat response from 2001 right now? Or is it 2023? Because right now there's a lot of snuggles and warmth happening. And this isn't congruent with the threat response. So we have to make a decision. Your brain has to make a decision. Are we safe? Or are we having a trauma, like a flashback or a somatic memory? Or what is this that's impacting our ability to feel inside? Do I need to eat? That's impacting my ability to think about what would I like to eat? What sounds good to me, right? This is why this bottom-up work with our food, if we don't do it, we're doing a lot of performative recovery and we're hoping for the best that over time. And it's not to say that like people don't get better without this kind of work. They do, totally do. But for those of us who want to like expedite the process, those of us who want to feel safer in our bodies and not just like put up with them and not binge and purge and restrict anymore, but really have true full out embodied recovery, this is some things to think about. So I hope this video was helpful. It's a little longer than I typically do, but I wanted to, just give a little bit more thorough, like what do you do if you're in fight or flight? And here are some things. So as I summarize, I'm going to repeat, it's really important to recognize that eating issues develop in relationships, so they're going to heal in relationships. So if you're trying to be a lone wolf and do this on your own, again, I know people get well. I don't encourage doing this by yourself because it will just take longer. That's just, as much as I am going to the depths of things and seeing things from a really, 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 really big picture, I'm also pretty pragmatic. And is that, how much time do we have? We none of us know, right? So I think it's really important to, if we can help our bodies, not just from the renewal of their mind, bottom down, like change our thinking down, but also bottom up, help our bodies feel less afraid, less autopilot checking out, whatever. I think we have a chance to more quickly become a witness to our experiences and what's true and what's a threat response that doesn't match right now. So, and doesn't match the resources and our age and all the things right now. All right. So number one, find some co-regulation to help you. And number two, use your body as a resource. Use your sight, sound, taste, touch, smell, what the truth is inside your body, if you can get yourself slowed down enough to tell. And all the things that, we probably did as kids that were really fun, our bodies organically knew that this helps us be more here and feel ourselves and separate ourselves from like the negative thoughts or the kind of like trapped feelings in our body that haven't been processed yet. And bring that stuff to the surface so it can be processed separately from the food. And as a dietitian, without this kind of work, people, do good for a couple of days and then they really struggle again. And they do better for a couple of days and really struggle again. So we add the sensory element to our work because we want people to get better faster. We want people to have tools before, during, and after those meals to make more room inside to eat. If you got too much threat response inside, it's so hard to, one, know what you need and how you feel, and two, to do it consistently. Because you can have a really good day and eating feel pretty easy and not feel triggery and not worry about what everybody else is doing. But if you're already in a little bit of a not feeling very grounded kind of state and then you have to go eat, you're more likely to have some old stuff that reminds you of maybe it's not safe to sit so still and get this digestion going and get our needs met. Maybe that's not the priority right now. So anyway, anybody's welcome to ask me questions. You can put the comments below. If you're looking for resources of people who can help you, please email me. I probably won't do a lot of that here online. I like to reach out to people. So if you want to do a clarity call with me, if you need that, or if you just want to, hey, I live in this place. Do you know somebody who lives locally that can help? If I know somebody, I'll happily let you know. But anyway, I hope you really enjoyed this video. So on the next video, we're going to talk about the opposite. If we're in a hypoactivated, so check it out, people-pleasing kind of place, what do our bodies need to get back our will, get back our knowing, get back what we need to fully be here and feel relatively safe enough to take care of ourselves. Because freeze is a place, and I'll talk about this on the next video, freeze is a place we go when it feels like being here is just not tenable. We got to get out. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.